Hey everyone, welcome to Wax Pack Wisdom, where we talk baseball history through card breaks and the cards we love. My name is Jake T. O'Donnell. Today we're opening this pack of 1986 Topps as we continue our run of 80s baseball cards for Topps. This 1986 pack came out the year of my birth, 1986, yes. And I love opening these cards. I have so many of them. This is, I think, what I would really consider the beginning of the junk wax era. So let's open up this pack. Of course, I ripped it already, and let's see what we got. This gum in this pack is as old as me. There you go. All right, let's see what we got. And I'm going to flip these around so that we see all of the players in one spot. All right, the first card is Terry Leach. I can't really say I know anything about Terry Leach. 86 Mets. They, of course, won the World Series that year, beating the Boston Red Sox. We don't need to talk about that any further. Floyd Bannister is next. Good pitcher, left-handed pitcher for the Chicago White Sox. He played a few other places too. I believe, Mariners, Astros. I think he is of relation to Brian Bannister, who ended up pitching in Major League Baseball with the Royals and then became a pitching coach, pitching coordinator other places. And Floyd Bannister was a good pitcher for a long time. Okay. Next is Lou Whitaker. I don't know that I've had a chance to really talk too much about Lou Whitaker on this actual channel. I've talked about him when I used to do these videos on Instagram. Lou Whitaker is such a great character in the history of the game of baseball. He was part of the double play tandem with Alan Trammell starting in the 70s, all throughout the 80s and into the 90s. He was the second baseman. Trammell was the shortstop. Lou Whitaker, in my opinion, is one of the probably, I would say, for guys that are not affiliated or associated with performance-enhancing drugs, he's probably in the top 5 of guys who most deserve to be in the Hall of Fame who aren't. If you look at his numbers and you stack them up against almost any other second baseman in the Hall of Fame, he's right there. Maybe not stack him up with like Joe Morgan and Rogers Hornsby and Nap LaJoie and guys like that, but he's pretty close, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous that he never got voted in by the writers, and it is further ridiculous that it seems like every time he comes up to be considered by the Veterans Committee, he doesn't get in. It's ridiculous. He deserves to be in. And my hope is that he gets in while he's still alive, because he deserves it. Lou Whitaker, also definitely a colorful guy, a colorful character. I would advise anybody to read the story about what happened when he showed up at the All-Star game without his uniform. All right. Gino Petralli. I don't know anything about Gino other than that he was on the Rangers. And apparently, for him, it was always Gino time. All right. Greg Booker. I don't know anything about Greg Booker. Other than that very much looks like a spring training uniform. And I have so many of these 86 cards. It's crazy. But you get a good sense, you get a good look of the styles here of what the guys wore in spring training. They kind of basically wore, it was just above like pennies is what we called them in school. All right, Scott Bradley. I can't really say I know anything about Scott Bradley, either catcher/DH. This is a lean era for the Yankees. Mattingly, Dave Winfield is still there, I believe. Other than that, not much to write home about with the New York Yankees in the mid-'80s. George Steinbrenner gets suspended at a certain point, but then they drafted and developed well in the early 90s, and we know what happened after that. All right, Greg Pryor. Can't really say I know anything about Greg Pryor. This is not my favorite pack of 1986 Topps so far. I got to tell you that, folks. Greg Pryor was on the Royals. The Royals, 1985, were the World Series champions, beating the Cardinals. This card looks like it had the gum on it. He was there. He was looks like a utility sort of backup, third base, second base. So that would have meant he backed up George Brett. So spring training fever. I don't think we're gonna make it to 1987 spring training, unfortunately. Okay, Glenn Brummer. I like that action shot of what's going on at home plate with Glenn Brummer. It's play at the plate. Looks like that's against the Yankees, probably in Yankee Stadium. And hard to tell if he's safe or out. I think that the umpire is making a fist, so I think he's out. I think Glenn made the play, so good for Glenn. All right. Manny Lee. I don't know anything about Manny Lee. This is the Blue Jays. They are entering into their really good era. I think 1987, they're in the ALCS. Could be wrong about that. They're in the ALCS like one of these years. And they're starting to build something. They're starting to build a team. They a few years from then, they're going to get Roberto Alomar. They're going to get Joe Carter. Eventually, they get the guys like Jimmy Key and they have Dave Stieb during this era. I think they have Tony Fernandez. They have Fred McGriff. Of course, they end up kind of letting him go. But anyway, Manny Lee's part of that. All right, that's Ray Knight. I feel like we've gotten several Ray Knight cards during this stretch. Ray Knight was again 86 Mets World Series champion, was a key figure in the 9th inning rally in Game 6, which again we don't like to talk about, and then ended up being a manager himself, managed the Reds, and was a commentator as well on TV for a while. So Ray Knight, good one. Denny Walling. I don't know anything about Denny. Astros are in the National League at this point, which is something that's easy for people to forget. Clint Hurdle, catcher, eventually a manager in the big leagues. And then Brooke Jacoby. I must have like a million Brooke Jacoby cards in my collection. He's just one of those guys. I think like Von Hayes and Steve Jeltz and Curtis Wilkerson and just all these guys that I have so many cards of. I must have like 7 1988 Donruss Brooke Jacoby cards. But anyway, you can never have too many. That's the thing. All right. Tommy Dunbar. Again, I don't know. This pack, I am really sorry, folks. This pack of 1986 Topps is a dud. But I hope I'm making it somewhat entertaining for you. The last guy in this pack, and we're going to leave it on him, is none other than Mike Hargrove, first baseman for the Indians at this point, eventually managed the Indians. His nickname as a hitter was the human rain delay because he took so long in the batter's box. He would not survive in today's game. He would not be allowed to do what he did back then. He was a pretty good player, a pretty good hitter, but he used to step out of the box and take forever. Rob Manfred would hate his guts. And by the way, congratulations to Major League Baseball. The season just ended. The new rules worked, even though Mike Hargrove, as a player, would have hated them. But again, he ended up being a manager, managed the really good Indians teams about a decade after this. And then I think he eventually also managed the Mariners. So anyway, this pack of 1986 Topps has been a dud. I apologize, but I still hope you enjoyed this video. And that's going to do it for this edition of Wax Pack Wisdom. Maybe you have a story. Maybe there's somebody in here that's one of your favorite players when you were growing up, or somebody else. I would love to hear it. Let's make this a little bit more interesting in the comments than the actual video was. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought. If you enjoyed this video, if I made it entertaining for you, I invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Wax Pack Wisdom content. In the video description, you can find links to where you can follow Wax Pack Wisdom on all social media channels. You'll also find a link to a list of our favorite nonprofits and charities. If you enjoyed this video, please consider a donation to one of those organizations. That's in the link in our bio, and we would the link in our description. It would mean a lot to us if you could support those organizations. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Wax Pack Wisdom. Take care.